Sahana bhavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavarai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyamadeva Bhadram Pashyemakshaviryajatraha Sthirairangai Stushtavansastanubhi Vyashena Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha Swasti nः Pusha Vishvavedaः Swasti nastārkṣyo Arishtanemiः Swasti no Brihaspatirdaධātu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The first mantra. Is the speaker working all right? Not working?
There is some disturbance.
In all the speakers or in one? What do? You can find out whether the disturbance is in one or in all. If it's just in one, you disconnect that and then others can work. It's about 10 years now, more than 10 years now, the speakers. So the paper, in that diaphragm paper, there may be some tear or hole in that, then that causes disturbance. Please find out, one of you do that, whether it's in one or all. Okay? If it's just one, just disconnect that so that other speakers can work. Am I audible? Okay. Okay. We'll read the first mantra and then continue. Om Athashvalayano Bhagavantam Parameshtinam Parisametyovacha Adihi Bhagavo Brahmavidyam Varishtam Sada Sadbhis Sevyamanam Nigudham Yaya Chirat Sarva Papam Vyapohya Parat Param Purusham Yati Vidvan. Now, Parameshti Brahmaji, and as part of his teaching to Ashvalayana, teaching about the Atma Swarupa. I am Atma, I am the Atma of all beings. To comprehend that, to own that teaching, a methodology is adopted here. The methodology is the Prakriya, the Avasthatraya Prakriya. Illustration of the Avasthatraya, the three states of being, the three states of experience. That is dealt here. Introducing this section, the commentator Swami said, brought the question here, Nanu asya asangasya udasinasya advitiyasya kutaha samsaraha pasharupaha iti. How can there be this samsara, which is bondage? Pasha means a rope, binding rope. a pasha. What makes one feel uncomfortable? What makes one suffer, grieve? That is the bondage. What makes one feel insignificant, small, wanting? That is the bondage, samsara. And this samsara, as we know, is otherwise endless. Otherwise never comes to an end. Endless it is. And everyone wants to be free from this samsara. Knowingly or unknowingly, everybody seeks to be free from this very notion of bondage. And the Atma Swarupa, it was pointed out to us, said that Atma is asanga, unaffected. And then Udasina, it is uninvolved. And then Advitiya, it's a secondless, the whole and soul, the only entity, the only truth, Atma. How can there be this Purna Atma, Ananda Swarupa Atma, Shuddha Atma? How can there be samsara for this? How can it happen? How can it become how it is possible? How does it happen? This is the question. When Atma is asanga and udasina and advitiya, how can there be sanga? How can there be involvement? How can there be smallness, suffering, etc. for the Atma, it is said. This is the question. Ataha aha. First of all, samsara is not for the Atma. That is clear. For me, the Atma, there is no samsara. I am ever free from samsara. I am asanga, I am udasina, I am advitiya. Therefore, there is no samsara for me. Then, who samsara kasya? For whom is the samsara? Shankaracharya, in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, that in one place he brings up this question. And then he says, for whom there is avidya, there is samsara, the ignorance. Ignorance about one's true nature. The one who has that ignorance, that person is subject to samsara. Takes oneself, himself or herself, to be subject to samsara. Then he asks the question, who has avidya? Kasya avidya? Who has avidya? Very interesting question. And then he answers it very, very beautifully answers that. Now, who has avidya? Not for, definitely for Atma. Definitely not for Atma. Not for Brahma. Not for Ishvara. Then who is the avidyavan? I am Purusha. Samsari kaha. Avidyavan kaha. Right? Avidyavan, the one who has avidya. That is the jiva. Ajnani jiva, we say. The jiva is the one who has avidya, who takes oneself to be subject to samsara, the one who wants to be free from samsara, and then one who puts in prayatna, whatever the effort necessary, possible, that person puts in effort and then ultimately, finally discovers that I am free from samsara. Jivaha baddhaha, jivaha muktaha. Right? Baddhaha jivaha. The jiva is the one who feels that, who thinks that I am bound. And it is that very jiva who wants to be free from samsara, takes to the sadhanas, and then finally discovers that I am Atma. And who is this jiva? We know that jiva, we have gone through this, we have seen this. The jiva is presented as a reflection of the pratibimba of the chaitanyam, of the jyotis chaitanya. We have seen that it's only an expression. It's not that there is light and then there is a reflection. Don't take it physically, don't take it literally. We have seen this, right? So it's again a prakriya only. Saying that is a pratibimba, it's again a prakriya. Now, let us take to this prakriya that jiva is a pratibimba, the Chaitanya pratibimba. Also, it's called as chidabhasa, the chit abhasa, the reflection of the abhasa of the chit chaitanyam, manifesting in the upadhi, okay, and that too in the sukshma upadhi, that too predominantly in the manaha or the buddhi. So, in simple words, we say the reflection of chaitanyam in antahkarana is the jiva. Okay. And this jiva may take or may mistake one to be a individual. I am an individual, only this much I am, and then I am subject to smallness. I begin and I end in time. I am limited. This is the jiva, ajnani jiva. And it is this jiva who finally feels, understands that I am free from samsara, I am Atma, I am Brahman. Okay. Now, how does this jiva come into being, come into manifestation? Right? It really cannot be explained. It cannot be explained. But there are methods of the reveal of teaching, in the teaching, like prakriyas are there to present. This is how jiva comes into manifestation, a way of telling that. The question is not how the jiva comes into being, is not the question. It's not really important. It's not really purushartha, really. How the jiva comes into being is not the purushartha. The answer to this question, how does the jiva come into being, is not really my purushartha, the individual's purushartha. How the world is created, how Ishvara created this world, what is this yuga, what is this cycle, these are all part of this big prakriya only. They are not the final import, that's not the final vision, that's not the final teaching, and more important, that's not the purushartha at all. It's all one prakriya. Minus the vision, minus the teaching, minus my purushartha, all these are all only stories. Okay? Bedtime stories, that's all. Creating Bhuhu, Bhuha, Swaha, Maha, Jana, Tapa, 14 worlds, 7 up and 7 down. Right? You hear, we read all this, 7 up and 7 down. And then this Brahmaji made this and then did that and then did that. Puranic story, the lore we have, no? The Purana stories. Minus my Purushartha, these are all just stories. Nothing, they don't serve any purpose. If they are not connected to my Purushartha, if they don't lead to my understanding my Swarupa. Alright. The more important thing is that how does the jiva understand? Right? How can the jiva be free from samsara? That is the question. Suppose I suffer from some illness. Right. I, as the sufferer of the patient, I am interested in cure. That's all my interest is. The pathologist may be interested in how this illness came. The pathologist, the doctor may be interested. But I am not interested in it. This sickness, sir, madam, is because of this virus HOV, HAB, and then all the types of virus, the bird, all viruses. I am not interested in the name of the viruses. I am not interested. I am interested only in that I be free from this suffering. That's all. So this is more practical. And another thing is that why we don't have commitment, tatparya in the srishti or how the jiva comes into manifestation. We don't have tatparya in it. We don't have tatparya in it. So we have to understand that these are all only a part of prakriya, unfolding method. The jiva comes into being. Jiva is there. And then how does this jiva come to samsara? Okay. How can the jiva be free from avidya? That is the approach here. So in that we have to keep that in mind. In all this description, when we see the prakriya, we have to keep the tatparya in the mind. So, elsewhere it is said, Srishtau Aryanam na adaraha. Srishti, creation, how this creation comes into being, how God created, etc. Aryanam, for well-meaning people, for committed people, adaraha na. They are not interested in those details. Also, one may present Srishti in one way. One person may present Srishti in one way. Another person may present in another way, totally a different way. Right? It's all possible. Different ways. We see in the Upanishad itself, in some places, in some Upanishads, we see the Panchabhuta mention is there. For example, in Taittiriya, we see from that Paramatma, from Brahma, from Atma, this Akasha came into being. Right? Tasmad Atmanaha Akashaha Sambhutaha. Akasha came from Brahma. And from Akasha, Vayu. From Vayu, Agni. From Agni, Apaha. From Apaha, Prithvi. From that, all that, this Purusha, this being is born, it is said. This is that method. And in another Upanishad, there is no mention about five bhutas at all. It is not at all there. And then the variety of the beings are mentioned. So the point is that is not the import. Srishti is not the import, but what is the truth of the Srishti, that is the import. Therefore, we keep this in mind when we see any prakriya, as we saw yesterday, we keep the purport, the tatparya in mind. That tatparya, we have to keep our focus on that. Every prakriya is based upon, prakriyas are based upon, some are based upon examples, just some example. Like for even pratibimba, the reflection, that's a prakriya. Pratibimba vada, you may hear this. And then there is this avachedavada, you may hear this. These are all based on just examples. Okay? Pratibimba is purely based on an example. Mirror example, that's all. Reflection in the mirror, that's all. It's an example, that's all. And using the example, the prakriya goes on to say, Jiva is a reflection of Chaitanyam. That's all. The individual is a reflection of this Chaitanyam. One mirror, one reflection, many mirrors, many reflections. One object, many reflections. That's in Pratibimbavada, that mirror example is presented. And also, this is the truth of all the images, all the reflections is the entity, the object, which is the one object, that is the truth. The reflections are purely, they are only apparent, they are appearances. They do not count as the different objects. That is all that is said there. And the entity compared to the reflection, it is self-existent, it is independent. Whereas the reflection is a dependent entity, depends on the object in front of the mirror. These are the points, that's all. And then, so like that, Atma is the one entity, appearing in the Upadi, and in many Upadis as many. And the truth of all the appearances is this one Atma, which is free from all the limitations of the Upadi, that is the reflecting mirror, And whatever that appears in the mirror, the Atma, the individual, the self is always free. That's the amsha. That is the aspect. That is vivakshita. That is the intention. That is the vivakshita amsha. Rest are all avivakshita, not intended at all to convey. Right? That's not the purpose of this vada, this prakriya. Other aspects, like even we need light. For reflection to take place, we need a light. The mirror is not self-effulgent. And then the object reflected may not be self-effulgent. Like a book, like I am standing in front of the mirror. I am not a self-effulgent entity. The body is not self-effulgent. It needs light. That light, external light, is not the vivakshita amsha. Size of the mirror is not the vivakshita amsha. How many mirrors? Size of the mirror. Who made the mirror? These are not the vivakshita amsha. If we look into the avivakshita amsha, it will all be problems, it will all be questions, it will all be unacceptable. That's not the purpose at all. Whereas we focus always on the vivakshita amsha, right, in all prakriyas. Why I say this, I mentioned yesterday also, today also I am saying, regarding the prakriyas, we always focus on the vivakshita amsha only, the intended aspect alone. Otherwise, what will happen? I will say, I create one prakriya, method, an analogy or method I may create, and then you may create another, and then we will argue between us, we will argue. Mine is better, yours is not better, mine is superior, yours is not superior. Unnecessary argumentations will entail. This way, it may be just an intellectual wrangling, intellectual wrestling only, right? One-upmanship, that's all. I am better than thou. That's all I will try to do. Doesn't contribute to anything. This goes on. This sort of intellectual wrangling goes on, may go on. Any such discussions, they have to be focused on the purushartha, the vivaksha, right? The teaching, it has to focus on that. The vision, it has to focus on the vision, it has to focus on the purushartha alone. So we stay focused with the vivakshita amsha. Amsha is aspect, vivakshita is intended. This is what is intended to be conveyed. That is the vivakshita amsha. Okay. This we keep in mind. That's why it is said, it is advised, it is suggested that we don't get into unnecessary argumentations. Fruitless argumentation. Fruitless argumentation may come when we focus on the avivakshita amsha. Okay, fine. Now, here the Shruti points out this avasthatraya prakriya as a means to present that Atma is ever free. I am ever free. I am the truth. I am the one Atma, which is the truth of all, which is ever free, ever pure. And it is the invariable presence in and through all states of experience. In and through all experiences, everybody's experience, I am the invariable presence. And I am asanga, I am always pure, I am always shuddha, I am always full, that is also conveyed. Right. Now, the Shruti takes the three states of experience, waking state. First it talks about the waking Jagrata Avastha here. We read this mantra and we get into the explanation. Sa eva maya parimohitatma shariram asthaya karoti sarvam त्र्यन्नपानादि विचित्र भोगैः स एव जाग्रत् परितृप्तिम् एति. We saw the Anvaya, a simple Anvaya we saw. Saha eva, verily that entity, Saha eva, verily that very same entity, Saha eva. Who is that Saha eva? Very intelligently the Shruti says Saha eva. Now, who is this Saha? In the previous mantra, Atmanam aranim krutva pranavam cha uttararanим jnana nirmatana adhyasat pasham dahati panditaha. It is said. The only Saha is panditaha. That is possible there. But then, that is only the emphasis is not that pandita, but then the contemplation is what is the emphasis in the previous mantra. Contemplation about one's nature. Making oneself the mind as the lower block of food, etc. That is mentioned. But then that Saha does not relate to all that. But then Saha is the previous one. Go back previous mantras. Saha Brahma, Sa Shivaha, Sa Indraha, Saha Aksharaha, Paramaha Swarat, right? And then Saha Eva Sarvam Yad Bhutam Yad Chabhavyam, the earlier mantra. That Saha is this Saha. This the in between that Sarvabhutastam Atmanam and then Atmanam Aranim Kritva, these two mantras, that Saha, that flow is not there. So it's like a frog leap, okay? Frog, when it goes, it jumps. Frog leaping or leapfrogging. Whatever. The Anvaya Saha reference jumps over these two mantras and then goes to the previous one. Saha Brahma, Saha Shiva. Verily that Brahma, that Shiva, who is that Shiva, that Paramatma, the Brahma, Saha Eva, verily that very true entity, Saha Eva. Verily the Atma, verily the one. Now, Maya Parimohita Atma, the self, the individual Atma, here in the individual Atma, the individual who is Parimohita, Mohita, deluded, Muh, to be deluded, Parimohita, thoroughly, very well deluded, Parimohita. Left and right I look, I see only Dvaitam, duality, Dvandva only, duality only, Dvaita only I see. I see only as myself. This is the Parimohita, thoroughly deluded. By what? Maya. So, Maya Parimohita Atma. Mayaya, by Maya, Parimohita Atma. Now remember that Atma cannot be deluded, right? Atma is free from the Upadhi Dharma. But here, this Jiva, the individual, the self, who takes oneself to be, identifies with the body, doesn't know what I am, who I am, does not know. That individual is endowed with this beginningless avidya, and then that individual commits a mistake. Being self-awareful, a self-conscious being does not know what one is and then commits a mistake, commits an error here, taking oneself to be the Upadhi Dharma, Manushya, etc. And that is pointed out by Maya Parimohita Atma. Put the blame it on Maya. Okay? New film. There are films, blame it on this, blame it on that, blame it on Rio. So there are some films. So blame it on Maya. Put the blame on Maya. Who did all this? Maya did this. I didn't do anything. I was quiet, and then Maya came upon, and then it did all this unholy business, all that, right? Unbecoming business, all that. Maya did that. What is this Maya? We look into. It's a technical word. Maya is a paribhasha word here, a technical word. Meaning, we know the meaning. We know this. Trigunatmika, etc. We know whose nature. What is this Maya? Where is this Maya? Where from this Maya comes? What is this nature? What is the nature of Maya? All these questions, defy a convincing answer, a final answer. There is no finality of any such answer to that. Indescribable, we say. Inscrutable. Indescribable. We cannot describe as existent or non-existent. We cannot define in any way. We cannot say. If we say in one way, this is Maya, if we say this, then it defies, the Maya very entity defies such definition and then shows up in an opposite result. If I say Maya is white in color, suppose I say, then what about black? Suppose I say Maya is black in color, what about white? What about other colors? Inscrutable, indefinable. So we say anirvachaniya, right? Nirvachana is definition, categorization. I can categorically say, definitely say something about something that is nirvachaniya. Maya is a nirvachaniya. We cannot say anything with definiteness about that. It's indefinable, inscrutable. I think you saw this Maya Panchakam. Did you? Oh, okay. A very interesting set of verses, 5 verses are Maya Panchakam. So it concludes with this refrain, all the 5, Agatita Ghatana Patiyasi Maya. It concludes. Very interesting verses. Patiyasi, very adept and expert in what? Making the impossible possible. Okay? You say it impossible, but it makes it possible. Agatita is impossible. Just impossible. Like even an elephant coming into my ears, walking into my ears is impossible. I am not a Rakshasa, I am a giant body, I am not Hanuman, appearing, taking the giant form, then the elephant can go into. I am not Hanuman, I am a simple fellow, simple tongue. Into my ears, no elephant cannot walk in. So that is Agatita. Impossible. But then Maya makes all this happen. Not the elephant coming into my ears, but then all this Ghatana Patiyasi. Ghatana is happening. Making the impossible happen. And very effortlessly Maya makes this happen. What is this? What is this Maya happen? This is what happens. I am Param Brahma, okay? I am Param Brahman. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabha I am. I am always pure, always free, always Shuddha, always I am Ananda Swarupa, I am always Tripta. This I. Now what am I? Pucho mat. Don't ask. Don't ask who am I. Don't ask. I have a long list of the story of what you call that? Tale of woes. My tale of woes are there. Nothing's happening. Kuch nahi ho raha hai. Nothing's happening. People are not respecting me. They are not happening. I am not rich. I am not healthy. I am not this. I am not that. Now, this is a wonder. This is a miracle. This is a magic. Maya makes it happen. Make it appear, make it possible. Like the magician, they say, magician's trick. Like a magician shows, like this fellow shows a woman, makes the woman lie down on 3 swords, okay? Very sharp swords. Makes it lie down. Imagine how uncomfortable you should be. And then, one by one, the fellow takes out the swords, and then there is one sword on the neck, okay? There's a very sensitive point there. And then on one end, this woman is lying, and then quietly the fellow withdraws these two swords, and then woman is lying like that. Wow. It's all trick. But then, to an onlooker, it looks, wow, how does it happen? Impossible. Right? Impossible. But then the fellow shows it's happening. So like that, Maya makes this happen. Now, when the magician shows the trick, I wonder at this. Wow, great. And then I happen to befriend the magician, and then I ask him, hey, can you tell me how do you do this? If we can, I also can do this. Then when I travel, I can sleep comfortably. I can just lie down anywhere and then sleep comfortably. Tell me how do you do the trick? Lie down on the sword's edge, just on one sword. He says, no magician will not reveal his tricks. Why? Because once the magician tells how it is done, it is, this, itni baat hai. Ye mamuli baat hai, choti si baat hai. So very simple thing, simple trick. So let the trick out of the bag, it loses its magicality, whatever. It loses its meaning. It looks very simple. That's all you do. Yeah, that's all. Like that, you call the bluff of Maya, right? Then by knowing what is the truth of this Maya. Now, see, people in general, we take things as real. We take it as real. The world is real, the table is real, and then we don't stop with object. We go to my belief is real, my idea is real, my experience is real, right? What do we mean by real? We have to look into that. And secondly, why I say this is real? Why I say it? Right. Okay? What is real and why I say this is real? Something is real, why I say it. Our idea of reality, what is real, is something that we see, that we touch, tangible. I touch the table, it is real. I see the table, I use the table, it is real. Something which is within our scope, our reach, which we use, which we see, which we interact with. This is that we call that as a real. So, in a way, we say that what I see, what I use is real. What is useful is real, we say. This is useful, this I see. Not only I see, you also see this. If it is just an imagination, only I must see that. You all should not see this table, but then you all see that, we all use it. And there is continuity. Today I use this, tomorrow also I use. Continuity is there, right? Continuity, usefulness. I use, I experience. This is real. This is a jump. We jump to this conclusion that this is real. In fact, there is no connection between these two. I see and this is real. I see this is real. I use this is real. There is continuity, this is real, right? Between these two, there is no connection at all. We jump to this conclusion. I use this, it has to be real. I see this, it has to be real, right? There is continuity, it has to be real. There is no connection. There is no connection between these two. What is real? Go back to, are you seeing Gita Bhashyam? Not with the bhasha. Okay. Okay. Maybe that's later on. It may happen. Okay. We say, what is Satyam? Real is Satyam. What is Satyam? We say, no? Abaditam Satyam. Badita means negated. Negated as what I thought, this is this, it is this way. I thought about something. Like one table, that is an entity, different from the block of wood nearby. Table is a different entity. I know. That is wood, that is not table. This is table. I know. So I say this is a real entity. It enjoys its own reality. Now, when we say we say table is real, that is Satyam. Right? Table enjoys that Satyata. But then, that is the criterion for Satya is Abaditam. Abaditam. Badita is sublated, negated. Now the table on analysis, I understand that this is wood. Simple, it is wood. Table is not an independent entity. This we all umpteen number of times we have seen. Vishtapeshanam, nevertheless. Table is not an independent entity. It doesn't exist by its own. It is just wood. Right? It's made of wood and it is wood alone. This is the Badita here. The table gets Badita, sublated, negated, sublated. Right? That is the truth value, that this is Satyam. The truth value of the table now has undergone a negation, a sublation. That is, table is not the entity, that is not the truth, wood is the truth. So now here this table is Badita. Okay? Whatever that is subject to this Badha, this sublation, negation, cannot be Satyam. This is a rule, right? This is a niyama there. This is the vidhi. What is subject to negation cannot be the truth, cannot be the final truth. One thing. Right? Now table is subject to negation, that is, it is only wood. Right? What was seen as an entity table, now I see it's only wood. So that's a Badita it is. What is Badita cannot be Satyam. Okay. Secondly, what is independent can alone be Satyam. What is dependent cannot be counted as Satyam. Like even coming back to our table, the table is, when I say the isness, the existence of the table, the isness of the table is from the wood. It is wood which lends existence to the blessed table. Minus wood, there is no this wooden table. There is wood and then this table is happening. Okay. So, table is dependent, wood is independent. What is independent alone can be Satyam. What is dependent is a dependent entity. It can only enjoy a Vyavaharika or a dependent reality, not an independent existence, not an independent reality. This is Satyam. Abaditam Satyam. Right? Swatantram Satyam. What is Swatantra? Swatantra means exists by itself, independent for its own being, to be its independent. That is Swatantra. Swatantram Satyam. Abaditam, that is Satyam here. Now, when we analyze our experiences, does it undergo change? Does it get negated? Yes, it changes. Right? That's very well known. Our ideas, we change our outlook, we change our notions, our beliefs, we drop some and then we pick up new, all that we do. In doing that, in all of them, they undergo a sublation, Badita. A belief undergoes sublation, undergoes change. And not only not going to change, It's also not independent. It's not an independent entity. And so too an experience is not an independent entity. Every experience, big or small, an experience is not an independent entity. It's a dependent entity only. Being a dependent entity, an experience cannot be paramarthika. We don't deny the existence of experience. Understand that this idea cannot be there. This experience cannot be there. We are not denying any experience, but we are questioning the conclusion about the reality of that very of experience. Right? People hastily, in ignorance, conclude that I experienced this, and this is my experience. It's very intimate. It is real. Okay, we connect with our experience reality. We equate our experiencing something with reality. This is real. Real means satyam. This is satyam. My experience real. Right? Your experience, I don't know whether you really experience or not, but I may trust you. I may have shraddha in you, I may believe in you, but your experience is not intimate. Okay? My experience is intimate. I don't need proof from you, like you saw this, you experienced it. I don't need, it's intimate. But then people conclude that my experience, therefore it is real. We question this. Right? We challenge this conclusion. We challenge this conclusion. We question this. Now we say experience is not a swatantra entity. Experience itself is not an independent being. What is it that? Unless minus me, where is experience? Right? If I were not present, how can there be an experience? How can there be an idea? How can there be an action? How can there be an enjoyment? How can there be without me? So, the experience exists because of the individual. Because of the experiencer, there is this experience. Right? Experiencer, me, and me being there, such experience takes place. Minus me, no experience. Now the Shruti points out here common experiences, right? Waking state, we all go through this. It points out that nobody can challenge this. You could not have had this experience, only I have. I don't have, you only had. Nobody can challenge the experience per se. Waking state cannot be, it is there. It is intimately, we all go through that. But then we conclude that this is real. The Shruti wants us to understand that that's a different question. Satyatvam, the truth value is different question. That I experience, accepted, but it is real, challenged. Right? We challenge this conclusion. This is real. Applying the criteria, what is subject to badha, negation, cannot be satyam. What is swatantra alone can be satyam. Right? What is not swatantra, what is paratantra cannot be satyam. Applying this niyama, this criteria, we can see that experience, etc., cannot be the swatantra satyam, cannot be the truth in itself. The truth of experience is the experiencer or the being. I being there, this experience is there. Okay. Now, without knowing what I am really, right, and then all that happens is this sort of the parade of experiences, right? One after another. Waking state, dream state, sleep state, and then in waking state. Variety of experiences is there. They happen. And then there is this, I see the body, and then there is this, the anadi, avidya is there. The identifying the capacity, the tendency to identify is avidya. And then that is anadi, it is. And then I have this body, then I identify with this body, etc. The identification happens. Now, Shruti points out here, this all is the Maya Parimohanam. This is a Maya Parimohita. Maya is something which is indefinable, right? But at the same time, we all experience the effects of Maya. I see you as an individual, your body, and then I see you sitting here, I think about you, and then I have an idea about you, opinion about you, judgment about you. All these are all Maya manifestations. Maya we don't see, Maya karyam all the time we see. All the time we see. Maya as an entity we do not see, but then Maya karya all the time we keep seeing that. And then my experience, and then my thought, my idea, my belief, my preference, my likes, my dislikes, my feelings, my emotions. So all there is this, all the in and through all this there is this Maya manifestation is there. So when I do not know what I am, and unfortunately I commit this error, this mistake also, taking what is apparent, what appears as the truth. The stock example Rajju Sarpa is always there. I don't know the rope, but I see the snake. When the truth is not known, right, when Satyam is not understood, then what is not Satyam shows up as Satyam, is taken as Satyam. When I do not know Satyam, understand what is the truth, I mistake what is not Satyam as the Satyam. That's happened. This is the Maya Parimohita Atma happens. Deluded by this Maya, which is beginningless, and then which casts its veil over all. Okay. They say in the Puranas, we see even Brahmaji, even Shiva, even Vishnu. Who is the greatest among three of us? Who is the greatest? The idea is this: Maya casts its veil over all. This manifests in us in our mind, in us as the impressions, as the samskaras, as the vasanas, as the ideas we form, right? And our personality, they're all Maya manifestation is there. Maya's influence is heavy in that. My outlook, how I look at things. I have been repeating these phrases, my outlook, my interaction, my responses, my choices, right? In all this, Maya plays a very predominant role, key role. In fact, it's the deciding role. Maya decides, right? Decided by the effect of Maya on me, the individual. As long as I have ajnanam, I take what the apparent as the truth, the apparent as me, and then I fail to see, fail to observe, fail to appreciate, fail to see what real the me is. In the Bhagavad Gita, a very revealing, a telling verse is there. Bhagavan says in the second chapter, what is that? Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama payinaha anityaha. A very important verse. Of course, Gita is unparalleled, a lot of verses, but very important verse. Agama apayinaha. Matras, all experiences. Matras sparshaha. Matra refers to the sense organs. And then sparsha refers to the objects which are perceived. Matra sparshaha. Sita, ushna, sukha, dukkha, dayinaha. Give sita, ushna, cold and heat. Pain and pleasure. Right? And then they are, the important word is agama apayinaha. Changing, fleeting, ephemeral, not lasting, temporary, right? Come and go. We cannot stop it. Nobody can stop time. We cannot stop this coming and going. We cannot do. And these are anityaha. Agamapayinaha. Anityaha. Why they are agamapayinaha? Because they are anityaha. They are verily anityaha. Bhagavan does not stop with that. Many a times a person forgets to comprehend that these are anitya. We suffer. People suffer a lot. A lot of our suffering, the hurt, the pain that we undergo. I'm not talking about physical pain. I'm talking about the suffering that happens within. Right? Physical pain is something we have to deal with topically. We have to handle at that level. We have to deal with that at that level. We have to deal with that. But then I transfer that physical pain, etc., onto me, that suffering that within, the mental agony, the anguish that I have. Right? Lot of our anguish and agony and pain is because we do not remember that they are anitya. Anitya means comes and goes, that's all. It is painful, it is hurting, it causes anguish, agonizing it is. When I say that, when I feel that intimately, I assume that it is nitya. But then Bhagavan says they are anitya. Points out that anitya. In a moment of clarity, I can see, yes, they are anitya. Agama payinaha anityaha they are. Bhagavan doesn't stop with that. Tan titikshasva bharata. May you courageously, may you valiantly take them on, endure them, bear with them. Why so? What is not said there, but then all over Gita he says, you are nitya. They are anityaha, you are nitya. You are nitya. You are the satyam. You are the truth. And you are the invariable presence. Experiences are variable. You are the only invariable. You are the invariable. And as you are the invariable, you being the invariable, you are not really affected by the variable. You are not affected. The variable, so a variable cannot affect the invariable. If the variable affects the invariable, or if the invariable is affected, then that's again a variable. Right? And what is variable cannot be satyam. That variable is badita. What is variable cannot be the satyam. Whereas you are the invariable presence in and through all experience. And you are the truth of all the experiences. Minus you, there is no experience. Therefore, you are without experiences, you are. Right? Without one particular experience, you can be. Without the other person's experience, you can be. So, without experience also, you are in sleep, for example. Without any particular experience, we are. Therefore, You are the invariable presence. The invariable cannot be touched by the variable. And therefore you don't have to sweat unduly over what is anitya. There are people who sweat over small things, get worked up, tensed, okay? Even for small things they get worked up. All you might have told this person, you may say, hey, tomorrow morning 10 o'clock you keep this on the table. That's all you told. You bring this book, you bring this clock, and then you keep it on the table here. That's all you told. How big a task it is? Simple task. But then the fellow says, tomorrow morning 10 o'clock, and then the fellow does some 10 rehearsals, like 10 times rehearsals. I'll bring it here and keep it. And then goes about thinking, lunchtime, this clock, this book. They are called sweat queens. Sweat kings, sweat queens, okay? Sweat about everything, sweat. Unfortunately, people sweat over, unduly worried about all such certain insignificant things. If I can cut down my worrying about insignificant things, even that should be a lot of freedom, so much freedom. I can be free from stress. We think over. We do see people who are stressed out over small things. We are stressed out. I'm not stressed out over one particular thing, but then keeps on happening. One after another, small things keep on happening. Again, it's a small thing, but then I get fatigued by that. So therefore, Bhagavan says here, Tan titikshasva. May you endure them because you are nitya. You are too big, okay? You are too big to be bothered by these small flea bites, insignificant things. Unfortunately, this does not happen. Being deluded, I take myself, the momentary state of my mind, of my personality or whatever, I take it as the personality. And what happens with reference to me at that moment, I take it as the satyam, as the truth of me, as the truth of that happening, and then I suffer. So here the Shruti says, Parimohita Maya Parimohita Atma. We will continue this. Bhadram karne vishrumayama devaha Bhadram pashyemakshaviryajatraha Sthirairangai stushtuvamusastanovi Vishema devahitam yadayu Swasti na indro riddhashravaha Swasti na pusha vishvavelaha Swasti nastakshu arishtamihi Swasti no mrigaspatir dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamadav Purnamidav Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om